Hi, Maddy. Thank you so much for hopping on today. I'm so excited to talk to you. I got your name from Katrina, Alpha Female Tactical, because she was talking about how you were brand new to the firearms world. So I'm curious to chat with you about that. But also, you're like a fitness expert, yeah?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. Women's health and fitness coach. And I focus on helping women get stronger and learn how to lift.
Yes. And you give us a little bit of a kick in the butt too, which I think is good because we all need that these days.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think especially like with fitness, people can get very like complacent, and it's good to be like stressed a little bit and taken out of your comfort zone.
The best things happen when you're out of your comfort zone, as uncomfortable as that can be. I speak from relatively brand new experience that I just had. But anyway, since I have you on, how long have you been, or maybe we should start with what got you into the firearms world? Let's start there.
Yeah. So I've always had the sense of I want to be able to protect myself in some capacity. And that's something I think just growing up, my dad is from Mexico City and he's always been more cautious of safety and things like that and having two daughters. So I knew one day I'd love to be able to use a firearm, protect myself with it, and just be able to handle myself if something were to happen. And my husband is into firearms and everything. So something he also wanted me to get into. It was just like we never took the time to do it. So then finally, when we got our marriage license, we also got our concealed carry license.
Nice. This should go hand
I know,
in
right? And then when I got that a couple months later in January of this year, I was okay, it's time to start learning and get into it. And I guess just safety. I just know, like, I told this story before, but I'll like roughhouse with my husband and he can grab both my wrists with one hand. And I'm like, now what? And that's what I think about. Now what could I do? Nothing in that moment. So I would just rather be prepared for something than not prepared.
Absolutely. So where does your fitness aspect come into that? Do you train differently now that you've decided to go this direction?
Yes and no. It has been on my mind of it'd be really good to start training. Like if you watch Katrina's content, she does a lot of, it's so badass. She's so cool.
She's amazing. I'm like, do another pull up. Why don't you?
I know her pull-ups are amazing. I'm like, I need that. But watching her in just training, like in a field, on a range, like that's okay. I should be training in a couple different ways. And also just, I've been just someone who's a big proponent of lifting weights and getting stronger. And my cardio basically is like walking and stuff. I'm like, maybe I should start doing like a little bit of some running and just keep that up because of course, lifting is great for your heart. When you're doing a lot of reps, it's challenging, but it's not the same as running consistently for 5 minutes or being out of breath and having to grab things. Like that's a different kind of monster. So that's been on my mind. I'm like, I should start doing more of that kind of stuff.
Awesome. So as a beginner and like keeping the fitness aspect in mind, where do you feel like or I should say, like when you started, what were the things that kind of jumped out to you? Okay, so I need to maybe improve in this particular area, or maybe I need to start thinking about Katrina, for instance, did the lunges thing with the side ball, the obliques, and I was like, I might need to add that in. But can I get a modification, please? Because my hips are horrible. So what are some things that you've been thinking about since you've started training with, I don't know, do you train with your firearm or no?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Haven't started that yet? Me neither.
No.
But what are some things that have come up for you that have made you think differently, maybe about fitness in general?
I think grip strength, that's something that a lot of women don't have great grip strength. And my sister, she also lifts and is very strong, but I'm just bigger than her in general. She's 5 foot. It's easy when you're 5 foot to be smaller than everyone else. But she always says I have a monkey grip because my hands are really strong. So I think in general, like that's also one of the, I can't remember the exact verbiage, but for the signs of aging and how competent you'll be as you age, it is grip strength. So if you're like, grabbing groceries, like these are really heavy, working on just hanging from the bar and supporting your body weight. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't do that.
And we used to be on the monkey bars, like every recess, like climbing all over the place, right? But we lose that as we get older. And that's like such a a
Mhm.
big thing. I noticed that even
Mhm.
like with my mom, she just turned 70, and she's, I can't open the
Mhm.
jars anymore. And I was like,
Mhm.
God forbid, I can't open my own
I
jar,
I
right?
know.
Do you guys have that
Right.
same issue?
Yeah.
Like, maybe not, but I've noticed that as well. I'm like, oh, okay. What are some ways you can improve your grip strength? Like, obviously,
Just
hanging from
hanging
the bar,
from Yes. Yeah. And if you need to modify that, there is a movement you can do. You can put a bench up, put your feet on it so you're
but
supporting your body weight. You could put a barbell on the rig and put it lower so your feet are on the floor and just use your legs to support you. So hang from the bar, of course. Picking up heavy dumbbells, that's an easy one. Like
Mhm.
I don't just train grip strength. It's just my programming has those movements built into it. So I'm not like,
Yes,
I have to train grip strength. Just I'm going to pick up a heavy dumbbell and
right.
that's going to be that. Farmer carries are a great one. That one
Mhm.
too, where you're holding weights on the side. Just picking up a heavy barbell, just keeping that stuff consistently into what you're practicing.
Awesome. Okay. So after you're thinking grip strength is like one of the first things, what else do you feel like people should be focusing on as beginners in firearm? For me, yes, it's grip, but then it's also positioning your stance and getting your
Mm-hmm.
balance. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's like a combination of two things, like lower body strength in
Yes.
general, of course, like that is your positioning. And even like the positioning that I've been practicing, where I feel like it's one foot's a little bit more in front of the other, that's a baby lunge position.
Mhm.
So, single leg movements, I think, is really important. Single leg, single arm. That's super important. I
Mhm.
told this story with Katrina on the live that I did with her about how in the women's class I was in, we were just watching, the instructor was showing how to just handle a firearm, and there was a older woman who was kneeling down, and when it was her turn to go and try and position her hand correctly, she could barely get off the ground because she was kneeling.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, how would she, if someone came in and tried to,
Yes.
how would she grab the firearm? How would she get up? And I was like, and that's really important. That's one of the biggest things. A lot of older women, older men can't get up and off the ground without having something, a chair, a table, whatever. So
Mhm.
I think that's important, just overall life quality. But yeah, being able to lunge and get off and on one leg easily, I think is really important.
Absolutely. So let me switch just a little bit. Do
Mhm.
you go to the range on like a regular basis? As a beginner, I don't know if that's, and maybe you're intermediate right now. I don't know. Maybe you're moving fast, but I still
No.
consider myself a beginner, and I've been around guns for
Yeah.
several years now. But when you're
Yeah.
going to the range, what are some things that you're taking into account?
To
Like
practice?
yeah, but obviously you do
Okay.
situational awareness. But what are you practicing when you go to the range? Obviously we're shooting, but I
Gotcha.
mean, you know.
Like general safety, is that what you're
Well, general
inferring?
safety, or I'm just trying to see from a more of a newbie's perspective what's important to you when you're going
Oh,
and
gotcha.
what
Mhm.
it is you're looking for. What are like, do you take special stuff with you?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have been going about 2 times a month. One time is with like the women's class and they
I
have an
love it.
instructor. They're always, yeah, they're always amazing. And there's lots of good shooters, newer, more advanced in there. I just got like one of the first pieces besides my gun that I got is, why am I forgetting the name?
It's
It's
like,
to help you load
oh
load the
yeah, the
magazine quicker.
yeah. I don't know what it's called,
Yes.
but I have one of those too.
Uh, amazing.
It's the
I
best
was like,
thing
I will
ever.
never. Yes, I was the slow skiing class, like struggling with my fingers. And
Hmm.
then they're like, you need to get this. I was like, done. So that's the one thing I obviously have. And I do a lot of dry firing at home because I
Mm.
think it's, of course, just shooting at the range is great, but it's not, you're not going to be there every day, a
Hmm.
couple minutes. So I do a lot of dry firing at home. We just got a Mantis and it's like you clip it onto your gun and then you can dry fire and it has a target and it connects
Nice.
to it like virtually.
Hmm.
That's super helpful. But definitely the classes, because if I were to just go and shoot randomly, like I wouldn't know what I was doing. But going to the classes gives me a good idea of what I should be practicing at home. And so we're also big YouTube watchers. So we'll watch
Yes.
different. I love YouTube for everything. You could literally learn how to do anything there.
Right? I'm like, I'm a
um,
graduate of YouTube University in so many subjects.
right, literally. It's free knowledge, honestly.
Exactly.
So I'm using kind of what I've learned in there and applying it in there. So I just started, I'm very much a beginner, I just started not having to squint one eye. And that was like a big deal. I'm like, oh my God, I can shoot both eyes open. It's hard for me.
People totally miss out on. Yeah, both eyes open, baby.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, honestly. So that was like a big deal.
That's the second one.
Yes. I am a big flincher. I'm very jumpy. It's good being at the range, and then you get less jumpy the longer you're there. So that's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. May I ask what caliber you have been preferring to shoot? Are you more of a 9mm girl, like 380, 45? What's up?
So I have a 9mm. My husband has a 380, or wait, which one's the smaller one? 9?
Yeah.
Yes. See, very much beginner. But I have a 6-hour P365, I believe.
Me too.
It's smaller.
I love that gun.
Yes, I do. The only thing is the magazine's a little bit too short for my hands are like huge, I feel like. So I had to get the extender, so that helps.
No, I feel you. I felt the same way. I was like, oh, I was so excited to get this SIG. And then I was like, now that I've shot it, I do believe my hand is just a little. I was like, I need a bigger gun. Now I need a bigger gun. And I have a couple of smaller ones as well. I have a 32 that's absolutely adorable. All metal, very nice, but still snappy, small for the hand.
Yeah.
It's great for concealed. Like, that's what I keep in my little mini Zendir bag. But the reason I was asking is because when it came to flinching for me, I shot pretty much everything but a 22, and then I shot the 22 and it was like shooting a BB gun, and that cleared the flinching for me, because it was like, okay, yes, I do expect this to be, obviously the gun's gonna go off, but it was like every time it was such a big loud bang or something that I was like, I couldn't help but like flutter. So then I went down to the 22 and I was like, oh, okay, and it was gone. I don't know. Anyway, something to try next time you're.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'm a very big flincher, so that's just something gotta keep practicing and get over it eventually.
It's just, you know it's going to go off, but at the same time, it's like you're still not quite expecting it. I don't know. It's a trip. It's definitely a learned behavior. Not flinching is the learned behavior.
Yeah.
So what else have you been learning since you started? Anything that's surprising to you? Anything that you just didn't expect?
I think just how unaware I was of my surroundings and just like in my own world. Like, I am very much like someone that's just, if I'm standing somewhere for a few minutes, I'm like, oh, I could get something done on my phone, because running a virtual business, I'm like, your work is always in your hand. So I'm very much like, oh, I'm standing here, I get something done. And now I'm like, I should probably not be staring down, and I should be looking, just to be cautious of who's around me, what's happening in the area, and just not be so totally like blinders up. So I think that's something, I've really been like more cognizant of what's happening just in case something happens.
So can I ask you, before, let's say before COVID, have things changed for you in any way since then, as far as like safety and what's happening in the world? You know my pain.
Yeah. No, I don't think you're crazy. No, I don't think you're crazy. Yeah, for sure. Stocking up on items, like, that's non-safety, but that's just being prepared for things.
100% safety. I'm just going to interject right there. Stocking up on stuff does not mean it's not safety. You need that. If something happens, you're going to feel really good that you have all that stuff.
Yeah. We always get a cow from our local farmer. So that's something it's amazing. It is. And when we get, it's funny because like we'll go shopping in our back freezer and it will say our names, like Maddy, like soup bones. So it's just like funny. It's our name on there, but just continuing just to have things that we would need and be prepared for things like that. So having lots of food, canned goods, things like that. I'm trying to think if we had stocked up on extra ammo. I think, was it over COVID? I'm getting like my lines, like what years we did what, but a couple years ago, that's when we bought our guns.
Yeah. The stocking up on ammo, that was a thing until ammo went through the roof as far as prices. And then it was like, maybe we just won't buy real. So all of those things combined, right? I feel definitely, especially when we're beginners, I think dry firing is even more important, because otherwise we're just shooting downhill.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah.
Is there stuff that you changed during COVID?
Oh, I was like this before. I was definitely like stock up on everything. Like we used to live in California, so you could only get, was it like one gun a month or something? It was silly. Now we live in Idaho, so we don't have to worry about that so much. Just walk in and get whatever you want and walk out with it. So that's great. But before, as I've always been very outspoken when it comes to what I believe in and what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. So that was definitely has not changed. But if you want to go back far enough, like I gave my kids not all my kids, but I gave my first child all the vaccines. He ended up in the hospital. He had complications. I did everything that I was told. I voted for Obama. I cried when he was inaugurated. Like I bought the whole kit and caboodle, and then things happened with our first kid, and I was like, wow, so things are not what they said they are. I was full on, your government loves you. And now I'm like, dude, you better watch out. When COVID happened, I was just like, well, I told you guys, I told you this stuff was coming. You thought I was crazy. You thought I was a conspiracy theorist. But obviously, hate to say I was right. And then with all the new vaccine stuff, I hope you're not offended, but with all the new COVID vaccine, it hasn't been tested. It hasn't been tested. They don't care about you. Please listen to me. Yeah.
That's been, sorry to cut you off.
No,
go ahead.
Please, I talk too much. Go for it.
I think that's been difficult. I have a very, not twisted, but just convoluted relationship with the medical system. I believe, improperly diagnosed with an autoimmune disease that I don't even have part of it. They diagnosed me with psoriatic arthritis, and I don't even have psoriasis. And when I got diagnosed, of course, the medication like saved my life at the time because I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything you've ever seen me do in my videos. I could only sit on a chair. My husband was just dating me at the time, had to lift me off the chair because I couldn't walk or do anything. So on one hand, I know at 21, it was pretty wild. On one hand, medication like saved my life. On the other hand, the medical industry is just leaving me like to be on medication for the rest of my life, telling me we don't know autoimmune disease. It's moneymaker. It's a moneymaker. So since 2023, my goal is get off medication. I've been getting closer, and I think by next year I'll be off of it completely. But I know I'm excited. But COVID aside, I have multiple family members who have had consequences of the booster and either are just not connecting the dots. I got the first vaccine, I guess it was 2 of them, because I thought I was going to die. I think at some point we all thought we were going to die. That's really safe to say. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you're bad for getting it, because I got it too.
No, so many people, they didn't know any better. I remember not knowing any better. Until you know, 100%. What do you do?
Yes. Yeah, you do what you think is the best and the safest thing. And even my husband didn't get it, but he was like, I think you should get it because you're sick. But for what we thought I was sick. But there are so many things where, within the medical system in general, where they, especially women, love to put us on birth control and love to tell us it's in your head. We will fix it. The pill will regulate your hormones when it does jack shit. And sorry if you don't swear.
I'll drop an F-bomb with the best of them. I only keep them off here because podcast, but girl, catch me outside.
I swear all the time on our podcast. I'm like, we're probably getting shadowed somewhere.
Okay, all jokes aside, I worried about that. I was like, so if I start talking like I normally talk on this podcast, is it going to get like shadow banned or something? I was like, what exactly is explicit?
I know. I honestly think with YouTube, it's like 10 seconds. If it has swearing, they will shadow it. So we just don't swear in the first like 10 seconds, and it's like good, I think. So yeah. Not that we get like 1 million people reach, just to be safe.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, please continue.
Yeah, but I think I just have somewhat of a general distrust in a lot of medication, because so much of it in the medical system is, when you get to the bottom of it, it's money based, and it's getting the insurance money and not putting the patient first. And I see that a lot in my
lifelong customers.
Yes. Lifelong, exactly. And I see that a lot in the clients that I have, where they tell me like their doctors aren't listening to them. They've been on birth control forever. Their periods are so painful. Their doctors, it's fine. It's normal. It's not normal. Not normal. I have No, I see both sides. It can really help you. It saved my life. At the same time, you are a forever customer.
Absolutely. There is definitely a time and place for Western medicine, but there's a lot of things your body is supposed to heal itself. Trust
Yeah.
in some nature, man. Okay. We were made well. It's all good, but definitely there's a time and place. Like my sons couldn't live without insulin. They got two type 1 diabetics, and I'm not going to pretend that's not something that we need right now. Like I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm just not going to give you your shots today. Uh,
Right.
but I mean, I wish I didn't have to, though. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Talk about the cost of insulin and a whole nother subject all right there. But okay, so all fun and jokes aside about big, what are some things that you found have really helped you as a beginner here in the firearms world? We have classes, right? And we've been talking about you got to improve your grip strength. You definitely need to be working out and exercising and taking care of yourself. There's a reason why we had PE in school. I feel like there's like an epidemic of, I don't want to say obesity, but there's definitely an epidemic of kids that are getting overweight. And
Yeah.
like, what's your take on the current things?
On kids being overweight, or just what we need to focus on too?
What we all need to be focusing on. I feel like there's been a decline. Didn't we have it? Like there's like a peak where everybody was like, we're working out and we're fit and we're doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, we're all gonna be the pop muffin container. I was dying.
Pop biscuits, yes.
I feel attacked. I don't even eat muffins, but I got a muffin top.
I think there's a couple things going on here. I think it's part of our lack of, and this is like very different probably from what you've heard me talk about, or maybe what you've talked about, but our inability to regulate how we're feeling and our emotions. And I notice this a lot with myself, just like being a business owner, right? I think everyone can agree, even if you're not a business owner, where you get an email from your boss and it's, hey, we need to talk. What's the first thing that happens? Your whole body's, oh my God, like you're in shock. You're sweating, your armpits are sweaty, your hands are sweaty. I think as a society, we are so unaware of what's happening in our body. And that follows us through to where we are so mentally drained. What do we do at night? After work, we scroll. We sit there and scroll. We numb out. We try not to feel anything. Yeah. So when we all feel this way, do you think you give any craps about what you're eating or going for a walk or exercising? No. People don't, because they're numbed out. They're trying to forget what happened because they don't have the right tools to bring themselves back to center. So I think it's part of that. Just like for me, I've really been working on not scrolling in the morning when I first wake up and when I go to bed. And I've been doing that for a few weeks now, and I fall asleep much better. I wake up much easier. I'm not like, jolted when I wake up. So I think it's part one of being aware of how your body's experiencing things, whether it's you go through something and you feel those same emotions from before. Because when you can become aware, then you know what to do next. Okay, I'm not going to scroll. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to clear my head. I'm going to go for a cold plunge or something that like can take you out from what you're
from fresh air.
Yeah, do some box breathing, things like that. I think that's like part one. And part two is our society, like I'm in Denver right now. We walk everywhere. We walk literally everywhere. When I'm in Pittsburgh, I barely leave my house. Like I don't live in the city, I live in the suburbs, but everything's not walkable. So I think it's just how we are making our life and making it so we don't have to go anywhere. We can order our groceries right to our door. It's just the life that we're making. And I was in Europe, was like about a year for our honeymoon a year ago. And everyone is enjoying their time outdoors, eating. The food quality is so different. So I think it's just our society is just predetermined to be sick and to not exercise and life of convenience. So I think it's really like becoming aware of how you're feeling and the things you're using to numb yourself out and switch them for better tools. And really remember that like two things, your body is the only body you're getting. This is the only one you're getting. That's it. And no one is coming to save you at the end of the day. No one. When I was sick and I was experiencing like high levels of suicidal ideation because I was so sick. I remember I had a conversation at 21 with my parents. I think we need an in-home nurse because I couldn't do anything for myself. And my boyfriend at the time, he was like, you need to choose to do something. You can't live your life like this. You're 21. And I was like, you are right. Because at the end of the day, my parents are going to die at some point. What were they going to do? Take care of me for the rest of my life? No,
Right.
they're not going to be there. So I had to make that decision of, I'm not going to live this way anymore. I'm going to put my health in my own hands. I'm going to figure this out. So I think those are big things we all have to remember is you get one body and it's you at the end of the day who's going to make the change, not someone else.
Absolutely. Man, you touched on so many things right there. But I feel like they're all these things are connected, especially, maybe not especially, but because I'm in America and because I'm in the United States, those are the things that I see, right? My goodness. Just being outside. I lived in Switzerland when I was a kid for a little while, right? You bike everywhere, you walk everywhere. The little farms are just right down the road, right? You pick up your own
Oh, I
eggs.
love that.
You buy the cow, right? These days, like you were saying, you can order your Instacart, your DoorDash, your all these things. And I feel like COVID or the years of the pandemic made us separate from each other, both emotionally and physically, obviously, but also getting everything delivered, which is great. I got 4 kids. I have a business. It's lovely to have everything delivered, but that doesn't mean we don't go to the park. Doesn't mean we don't go outside. But I've noticed that as well. And even like we homeschool, so I have to get the exercise in. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. It's not like I can just, I mean, I could just send them, but I'm not going to send them to school. But my point kind of being like, we've all gotten to this place where we're so separated and there's no emotional connection and there's no social anything. We're almost like scrolling to find something. And when you want to relax, I'm like, look at the movies you watch when you want to get away from the world. And personally, I have a thing for John Wick, so I could watch that all day. But I was like, what kind of content is that? I was like, that shouldn't be relaxing, but it is.
I know. My husband loves John Wick, so I understand.
I'll be like, so you want to watch all 4 again? And did you know there's a TV show called The Continental? I'm bad. I'm like, there's a great. If he hasn't seen that yet,
I'll have to watch it. Yeah,
you guys will love it. Anyway, I won't do a plug for that show, but I'm just saying. Go see that. But these are the things, and I have to talk to when we sit down to talk to our kids about what the type of content that we're consuming. Because my daughter's like almost 14, and I'm like, so what are you looking at, and how does it make you feel? And do you think you should be consuming more of that content or less? Is it teaching you anything? What is it? Do you remember it in your brain later? Because my husband, he's the one that's like into zombies and all of that. So my daughter picked a little bit of that up and I was like, do you really want to watch that movie with Dad? Or do you maybe not want to watch that? I'm not even going to say what movie it is because it's bad. And I'm like, I've never seen it. I won't watch it. But you two, you do whatever. And let me tell you, Dad will hear about it later. It's all good. But maybe you haven't gotten to that point yet with the kids. But let me tell you, it comes up all the things.
I think that's smart, though, that you're asking your daughter those questions because it's been proven that girls are experiencing high rates of depression and suicide because of social media.
That's a trip. We didn't even have social media when I was like Facebook didn't even come out, I think, until after I graduated high school. I'm not that old, but I'm just saying, like, we've gone a long way in that direction. And now this whole metaverse thing is put on some glasses and just ignore the world and pretend.
Yeah.
That's spooky to me. I'm like, what in the, no, outside, go. We live in a cow town. There's nothing to do out here, but you can go ride your bike. You can go to the park. You guys can, play some sports. I don't know, something, but yeah, the way things are going, it's a little trippy. So yeah.
No, I agree with that. It's another way the metaverse is another way to have people numb out and have people live unfulfilling lives and find a way to live a life they really want to live, but can't create for themselves.
That's the thing, though. That's the lie, is they can create that life for themselves. They're just being told over and over again in this current system.
No, you're right.
It's not possible. But it is. That's one of the reasons why I like accounts like yours, because you're showing people, yes, you can. And yeah, it's going to hurt in the beginning because you've been lying dormant for a while. Wake it up, wake this body up, and let's go. So anyways, I like your content.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I agree with that. Like, Hey, my mom, and I tell this to everyone who's, I'm too old to get into fitness. My mom
No.
smoked for 20, 30 years, was drinking like liters of pop, of Coke,
Yep.
and started working out at 50. And she's in great shape. And she's, oh, I hung from the bar for a minute. I mean, my mom's in her 50s doing that stuff.
That's an accomplishment. I got my 10 seconds
Yes.
on. And that's about it right now. I'm like, I did 10 seconds. Yeah. That's amazing. So
Yeah.
props to mom. Props to Maddie's mama.
Yeah. Honestly.
I'm just saying. So what are some things that you think people should be like focusing on? I know we've already talked about some of these things already, but what else do you feel like people should know? That what are we not talking about that we should maybe bring some more attention to?
In the health and fitness world?
Wherever you want. We can say whatever we want because this is my fucking podcast and I make the rules.
Okay. I like that. I'm just so used to like my mind is like only health and fitness. So I totally get it.
You want here. There's no rules. Well, don't be mean to me.
I like that. No, I'm not a mean person.
I know
so
you're not.
Worry.
I can already tell. I'm just messing with you.
I think when it comes to things like Ozempic, I think
say all the things, Maddie. Come at me with the Ozempic stuff. Yes.
And don't get too excited, right? Okay. I don't like to speak on things I am not very educated on. But I think just if we bring it back to COVID, right? We don't know the long-term effects of many things. And sure, there is more, I would say there's probably more data on Ozempic because it's been around a bit longer than the COVID vaccine. But a lot of women are jumping onto that because it is like a Band-Aid, among other things that we use to reach our goals. And there are consequences to things, that change and alter your body. And a lot of people just they're just looking at the quick fix. The health industry is just so full of quick fixes. It's like the number one thing I get all the time is, should I do this? Should I do that? And I'm like, are they guaranteeing you anything? Yeah, guaranteed X amount of weight, in X amount of days. I'm like, no, anything with a guarantee, you shouldn't be doing. And there is a time and place, like always, I think, for medication and for things like Ozempic for people that actually need them, who are dealing with blood sugar things like type 1 diabetes, or it's been really helpful for women with PCOS, but there is always a root cause for things. And as someone who has been just putzed around with in the medical world, saying, like, my rheumatologist said to me my last appointment, we really don't understand autoimmune diseases. And I was like, yeah, that is apparent, because when I asked you why I got sick, you go, I don't really know. And when they told me that, I was like, okay, so this is in my hands now. I have to figure this out for myself. So I think it's just Ozempic is just going to be another thing that a lot of people try, a lot of people have consequences with, and then a couple of years we're going to be like, oh crap, we should not have opened that can of worms, because now we have an epidemic of people struggling with the effects of it. And I think it's just how the health industry goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's not a lot of science is not as trusted as it used to be. What is it? I read some meme the other day that was like 97% of scientists now believe whatever someone's paying them to say. I was like,
that's true.
That's one way to put it. Do we still use the scientific method, or are we just, I don't want to say nothing. I was going to say something like Fauci this, but I'll leave it alone.
Yeah, it's just Ozempic. You can probably change that with any other thing that women have tried, and it's going to have the same result where you get the loss that you're looking for. But since you didn't truly change your habits, you didn't truly change your lifestyle, you just used this thing and got the result you wanted, and then have to come off of it. Now you're like, shit, now what? The weight's coming back on.
That's what I was wondering about that. I was like, are you now a lifelong customer, as one would producer of such a thing would want you to be? They don't want you to get off it. How does that help? And then, I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm not as skinny as I was in high school. I would like to be, but the things that I'm seeing people have issues with, and then to deny that, sometimes they're denying that they're actually using it. And we're like, dude, you guys all have the sunken in face and you're injecting stuff in here to make it look like you're getting fillers to replace what you lost with this other drug. So now we're taking another drug for the drug that we took to get this. But
Yeah.
that's spooky. And I, like you said, I wonder about the long-term consequences when we don't have any long-term studies or data to show what's going to happen.
Yeah. And even like, 100%. Even there was I'm not going to say her name, but there was a podcaster and she was struggling with hair loss. And she was like, this just happens to women. No, you are on Ozempic. Hair loss is a big side effect. And now you're taking extra things to combat that. Like, if I had hair loss
work together, I'm like, so now we have this other thing that we need to study to see what happens with that. But you're just doing it. So you are the study. You're the experiment. Ugh. Yeah, that's freaky.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I think another thing where with the health industry, and this is something that like I have talked about a little bit, but not like a whole bunch, but I think the self-love movement has gone such like in a polar opposite direction. And I'm a little more confident now to talk about this because I wrote an email on it and I got my thoughts together. Yes. But I think when we push so far, if you think about the 90s and early 2000s, it was like the heroin chic skinniness and everyone was like a toothpick and was like, see all the bones. And then it went to the opposite direction where it was like, love yourself at any size and be confident in your body. And it's totally so far the opposite where people are obese and calling it self-love. And I think it's good. Like when I was at my heaviest and sick, like, of course I didn't love myself. Like I just didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to wake up because I was in so much pain. So to tell someone you need self-love when you're in that position, it would never have worked. But what I did need was love enough for myself to make a decision to change. And when we rely on self-love so much, it keeps us mediocre. It keeps us being fine with things getting worse and getting complacent with, oh, well, my back hurts now, but it's okay. It's my new normal. Like pain doesn't have to be a normal. No. Extra weight gain that's unhealthy does not have to be your new normal. If you truly loved yourself, you would put yourself first and want more for yourself, right? I think we should have self-love I have stretch marks in areas where I gained weight and I'm not going to lose them. They're there forever. Whatever. It's fine because I can walk. I wasn't able to walk at 21. I can walk. I can lift weight. I can do push-ups, all those things. Like that outweighs the little blemishes that like truly don't matter at the end of the day. But when we love ourselves so much into obesity, that's not self-love.
Yeah, I haven't quite understood that either. I'm like, yeah, you should definitely love yourself. But when we get to the point where we're unhealthy, one way or the other, one extreme or the other, right? We wouldn't give liposuction to an anorexic teen. We'd be like, no, absolutely not. You don't need that, right? Just the same way, like, no, losing some weight might actually make you feel better, might make you not just love yourself, but love life, might make you be able to breathe easier and walk better. Your knees won't hurt. Your back won't hurt. That's not, in my point of view, it's not being derogatory towards someone or even saying that someone's necessarily in a bad place, but wouldn't you like to feel good? Pain shouldn't be, pain is an indication that something's not correct. Yeah. That's not a new normal. It shouldn't be normal to feel like, oh, something's off constantly.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Anywho, that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, I really like the idea of pumping up the fitness aspect of this connection to firearms and firearm training. And I feel like both things are something we should be providing to women and being like, okay, you want to learn how to shoot. You definitely want to have good grip strength. You want to be able to move with this gun. You definitely need to be getting up and down. How are you going to use this tool to not only protect yourself, but protect others, your family, whatnot, right? A lot of us have, if we are with someone, the other person is outside of the home. So it's up to me when my husband is gone to take care of the kids, in which case I got to be ready and able, which I think comes along with that. So anyways, I really like that aspect, and I'm glad that you brought that to this, and I'm really stoked I got to talk to you.
No, me as well.
This was a great conversation.
Oh, thanks. I'm
No,
glad.
just girl, and just from myself being more of I definitely feel like I'm more of a beginner. I've always left it to my husband to deal with, but I was like, if I'm going to be talking about it, I should know what I'm saying, and I should be able to do what I'm talking about. Woman up, as Katrina would say.
Oh, yeah, I agree
need
with
that
that.
shirt
Yeah.
next. I got women against tyranny, but I need a woman up shirt. I have to tell her. But was there anything else that you maybe wanted to bring up that we didn't get a chance to get to?
Yeah, I feel like we covered a lot of stuff. I don't
We
think
went a
so.
lot.
Unless there was something you had to ask me still, but I think we covered a lot.
I really think we did. I think it's good. So you have your own fitness like online. It's like a virtual business.
Yeah, it's called Nourish and Lift Coaching,
Like
and
idea.
it's all me. You can find me on any social platform, Maddy.Nourish and Lift.
Nice. Are you thinking about incorporating, I don't know, a set of exercises for those of us who want to get better in our range training? Or are you going to leave that to Katrina?
Oh, you know what? That's a good idea.
It's
Not
great.
my
You both need to do it.
She does it all the time. But you know what? It wouldn't be a bad thing, right? Because I am all for women getting into lifting weights and moving their body more and building strength, because when we're stronger, we are more confident in ourselves.
Absolutely.
And you will be more confident holding a firearm too. So I think that's a really great idea. I could definitely pull a little reel together for you.
Absolutely amazing, especially as you're going through your journey and finding out where this is just random stuff, but like certain muscle groups that are, you get home from the range, you're like, man, I'm sore right in here. What can I do to strengthen these areas? Whatever. Any kind of, obviously hanging from the bar will increase your grip. Stuff like that I think is really cool. The one that she was doing where she was coming out from the side, Katrina, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not good with lunges. I need help with these knees, man. But those are all things that we don't really think about. And especially coming in
Yes.
new, a lot of women are just like, what do I even get? What kind of gun do I even get? And I'm like, before you
Yeah.
you might want to be able to, hold the gun, pull the gun out. Like there's some other things
Yeah.
that, and repetition in those areas definitely helps. But anywho, I am very excited to see what happens next for both of us, but especially for you. I follow you. So I'm all excited
Likewise.
about Maddy's page.
Thanks.
But thank you so much for being on with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Liberty, Lipstick, and Lead. I appreciate you so much. Please remember to follow, like, and subscribe. And if you enjoyed yourself and found some value, please leave me a 5-star review if you enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, stay empowered and stay safe.